Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another political episode. So we got some discouraging news. I wouldn't call it bad news, but it's news that a bit of cold water that is being thrown on us. And this only strengthens my argument that we have to play with the idea of Lisa Murkowski, not Lisa Murkowski, but Susan Collins not running for another term. And the news we did not see coming was Janet Mills officially entering the Senate race to challenge Susan Collins. And as far as I'm concerned, Democrats, we've seen a pattern with the Democrats. We've seen this with Roy Cooper. He originally said, I'm not running. This U.S. representative ended up joining in the race. I think it was Willie something. He ended up dropping out, and then Roy Cooper came in. We see this similar thing with Sherrod Brown. Sherrod Brown tossed his ring into the rally here. And then you saw, of course, blanking. Yeah, you have Sherrod Brown, Roy Cooper, and now you have Janet Mills, who is now aiming to run for governor. And you're seeing that Democrats are, I wouldn't say bribing these candidates to run, because I want to believe, Janet Mills said, I'm not going to run. I'm not really interested in running. And now she's running. That's kind of weird, don't you think? But and Janet Mills, interestingly enough, is very old candidate. And it's raising a lot of eyebrows, because Janet Mills is almost 80. And she would be like 83 by the time she is eligible to run for re-election. But hey, Joe Biden, he was president in his 80s. It's not like and Bernie is way old, and he's still senator. So I do think that Janet Mills, hey, look, I think this Maine is just looking very, very, very difficult right as of right now. Multiple sources have characterized Maine now as tossed up, okay? And I'm like, it was tossed up even to begin with. Because let's be honest, everyone thinks Susan Collins is running in this race. And I would say, and I'm like, not really, because she's been in the Senate for a pretty long time, 1996. Okay, that's a long time to be in the United States Senate. And now you're expecting her to run again? She ran in 2002, ran in 2008, she ran in 2014, 2020, and now you're expecting her to run again in 2026. I get she's in her, 70s and all that stuff. But here's the thing, you've been in big government for a very long time. It's the same thing with Dave Schweiker. Everyone gets all mad. Oh, Dave Schweiker, he's not seeking a ninth term. Who would stay in there for 9 terms? Let's be real. You get tired of the constant arguing on the floor, the Senate floor, the House floor, and flying across the country to Washington and back. You get tired, and constantly campaigning. Yeah, you get tired. So people, they don't stay there you probably stay there for 3 terms at max. Susan Collins, she's pulling through with a record, but expect her to stop. I like to use the analogy here. For instance, you overperform, right? Susan Collins is overperforming the traditional U.S. senator tenure, okay? A general tenure for a U.S. senator is probably 3 terms, okay? 3 form terms, and then they retire. This lady's serving 7 terms. It's like running a marathon. All the other runners are slow behind, and you're ahead, and you're running. Now it's pretty safe to say that this individual is tired, right? You're slowing down, okay? You're slowing down. You're running. It's a complicated analogy, but the point I'm trying to make is just because you're running ahead into the game, it doesn't mean you have enough energy to keep running. To keep running into gazillion terms. Some people do, like I want to believe it was Robert Berg did, and Strom Thurmond did. But, and hey, maybe Susan Collins? Maybe? I doubt it, though. I doubt it. She's in her 70s. She might want to retire. And to me, it doesn't really matter, because now you have the governor of Maine. Okay? You have the governor of Maine. Now, look at all this. All of it is tilting. Okay, you have the governor of Maine now running. And look, the polls are already dropping. And it's showing that, Susan Collins is going to lose. Although these, of course, is response bias, mostly because it's just starting out from a year or so away. But you are seeing somewhat a competitive race between the two, but I'm just saying, hey, look, don't expect Susan Collins to go forward and pull it off, because, looking at the last two races, 2020, Susan Collins pulled it off because no one knew who Sarah Gideon was. Oh, wait, yeah, she was the 102nd Speaker of the Maine House of Representatives. Sure, yeah, maybe they knew her, but let's be honest. I didn't even know who Melissa Hortman was, okay, until she was assassinated. She was this former speaker. It's not the same thing as knowing the governor, okay, who is running. And I get she is unpopular, okay? She is unpopular and unliked. Speaking of specifically, what's her name? Janet Mills, mainly on her comments, mainly on her just not allowing, just continuing to allow men in women's sports. She is refusing. She wants to die on the Hill to allow grown men in women's sports. But it doesn't really matter how unpopular she is. The deal is, this is a federal race, not a state race, okay? Federal race. This is clearly a state race. And comparing Janet Mills' two runs in 2018 and 2020, there was no real change. I wish we could, let's see 2022 if there's a county shift. But yes, you'll see, you see in her re-election campaign, she got more popular in the traditional Democratic areas. Now, Franklin County, there's a reason why Franklin County is blue, because she comes from that county. She's the favorite daughter of that county. And we use the term favorite daughter. That's a term used electorally for people that will vote for you, basically due to recognition from you coming from a specific area. They resonate with you due to your coming from a specific area or coming from your area. So you're the favorite daughter. So yeah, she is the favorite daughter of this area in the 2nd district. Okay, it's mainly because she comes from Franklin County. And now you're probably thinking, well, would Franklin County vote for her? Well, it's difficult to say because this is now a federal race. I mean, it really does depend on how much she carried Franklin County by. She carried it by margin-wise, not that much against Paul LePage in the said election. But this is the 2022 race, of course. So it did trend a little bit to the right. So I would imagine that Franklin County has kind of lost interest with Janet Mills. But let's see, going all the way down, you will see that Franklin, this year, she won it by a lot. The margin of 5.89. That's how big her name recognition in that county is. So, I mean, this is 8 years ago. and we're now in a federal race. Franklin County's more conservative federally than it is in a state-run race. So I would hope that, but still, I mean, she is going to make an impact in that area, as normally Susan Collins does very well in that area. See, she won the county, not even by 60%, guys. Let's remember, she is probably going to see gains here. So I can even pull up a map and actually do a county prediction right now for a Mills versus Collins. And I just think, in general, it probably will become a close race. But I just think, in reality, that it's over for Susan Collins. And she just prepare for Susan Collins to not run, okay? She might come out any minute now and say, any day, and say, I'm not running. And all the conservatives, all the people on the right, all us right-wingers are going to be like, ugh, she's not running! What do you expect? No, of course, because I've been telling people this time. She probably won't run. She's probably been contemplating, and this is probably, her decision's probably made up right now. She's probably not running. So expect very soon Susan Collins to come out and say, I'm not running. And if that's the case, which I think we got to do it anyway, we need to find another way forward. Are we going to spend a whole lot of money on a race in which Janet Mills will probably end up winning regardless? So this is what I think the race is looking like. I'm not going to say she's going to pull away Franklin County, but man, I do think that she is going to make a pretty tight race. But it's probably looking something similar to like this, like a 2016. You might want to see Waldo County go for Mills. Yeah, you have for sure the counties that ended up going for, let's see here. I wish there was a county margin sort of deal. There we go. I was like, oh, I wonder if there was there. So yeah, you got, yeah, she would definitely win Sagandahoc, whatever that's called, in Hancock County, York County. She's flipping that. She will flip Lincoln County. I would say Lincoln County's flipping. Waldo County. That's a difficult one to say. Well, that's Kennebec County is probably going to stay. But as for Franklin County, 56%. Yeah, I'll just say Franklin, as of right now, is staying red. But this is probably what I think it's going to look like. Actually, probably looking like this. We'll just go ahead and give Waldo because it's just traditionally Democratic. But yeah, I don't think that Collins will pull this off unless Mills doesn't win the nomination. And I think she will win the nomination. Let's be honest. Who's even running in this Senate race? Who's running in this Senate race for the Democrats? You got Natasha Alcala, who's a fashion designer. You got David Castillo, who is the former deputy of the Secretary of... Yeah, he's now running... He's from Maryland. Now he's running in this state. Good luck. David Evans, former Department of Defense policy writer. Tucker Favreau, cybersecurity professional. Now you got Janet Mills, governor of Maine. That's a huge high-profile title. Graham Flatner, who is Sullivan Harbor Master. Yeah. And then you got Jordan Wood, former chief of staff to U.S. Representative Katie Porter. No wonder he's decided to run away. Katie Porter is a disgrace. So yeah, I think at this point, Mills is going to win the primary by like 80%, folks. 90, 80%. She is the governor. Why wouldn't she win? And besides, the deep state, the establishment, they forced her in. She originally said, I'm not running. Now she's in. So, seeing that she got the backing of the deep state, or the establishment Democrats, she's going to pull this off. And as for the run for, let's just say, the general, one thing, we don't even know if Collins is running, publicly expressed. Okay, Susan Collins, are you going to run or not? Well, last year, 6 years ago, Susan Collins basically came out and said that in December that she would run. December. Now you could see it have a decision made this month. She will make a decision, and she will make an announcement. Not promising this month, but I'm going to say very soon, very, very soon, because I'm just saying, if that's going to be the case, we are done. We are done with Maine, and I'd rather it be this way. So, and I think it would work out better for Republicans if Collins didn't run. And here is why. Because if we are going to be throwing money at a race that we probably are not going to be winning, because Susan Collins was lucky. She was going to lose in 2020, but her popularity was overestimated. Now, you can't convince me that her popularity hasn't dropped from 2020 to 2026. It has dropped significantly. Okay? So I'll go and reset this map. Let's see what 270 has for this map here. So, yeah, you have Maine is officially now a toss-up. Yeah. You can't convince me that you can't convince me that she hasn't lost popularity. She definitely has. I mean, look at 2014. 68% to 50%. She lost 18 points in a span of 6 years. 18 points of popularity in a span of 6 years. That's not good. She got lucky. At least she didn't lose like 26 points, as the polls were suggesting. But she did, and the polls were correct, she did lose a significant majority. Therefore, Sarah Gideon actually overperformed her previous Democratic predecessor. Now, it's a little different now. You have the governor of Maine now running. You have a senator who lost 18 percentage points from 2014 to 2020, and it doesn't even matter if she runs or not. She's pretty much, it would be a closer race if she ends up running. But if she doesn't run, here's the pros of her not running. Number one, we don't give Democrats a hurrah, because their hurrah would be this year. Because really, Democrats, we would give them this hurrah early, because we want to make sure Democrats gain nothing from the midterms. And if Democrats gain Maine in the midterms, when Susan Collins doesn't run, they're going to gain it anyway. It's not going to be exciting for them. They're not going to get momentum out of it. They're not going to get feedback from it, because they knew Maine is a Democratic state. It's like West Virginia, guys. It's like West Virginia. Like, use Joe Manchin, for example. He didn't run in 2018. And he, therefore, in 2023, when he announced he wouldn't be running, this gave Republicans the hurrah. We celebrated in 2023. And because we knew the outcome of that race, West Virginia was going to flip red. But did we celebrate much when it actually flipped red in 2024? No, we didn't. Jim Justice flipped the seat. Did we go and say, oh, Jim Justice is so amazing, he won? No, because we knew he would. The celebration took place like 11 months prior to the election. Because we knew the outcome. So we deny Democrats any sort of celebrations after the midterms. We let them do their fake celebrations now, and they flip Maine. They're not going to celebrate it because they are going to win it regardless. And here's the other thing. The second thing would be this would allow the GOP to reroute, because I'll tell you something. Maine is going to cost us so much money that we don't have enough money to fund North Carolina, Georgia, and Michigan. Okay? We get rid of Maine, and now, although you can try to reroute, but if you want to aim to win all three, now you just have 3 states to throw money in. You don't have Maine, which you aren't even guaranteed to pick up. If Susan Collins is running, I would say, you know what? Out of the 4, Maine, Michigan, North Carolina, Georgia, Maine is the least important. Because we recognize that, yes, Susan Collins strong, but her glory days are running out. She's running out of steam, and she's likely out the way out the door. I'm curious to know if Red Eagle is doing a video on this, and if what his takes on this, because I mean, I know he was pretty upset about David Schweiker. For me, I'm like, he was going to leave regardless. He's been in there forever. He's like a deep state pawn. And I get the frustrations of him running for governor. If you're going to, and this time you can't, if Susan Collins retires for good and retires from politics for good, then we have absolutely no leverage to be upset about it. Because honestly, we know she's been in the Senate for a long time. We know that she's technically in her elderly age. We don't really know what's going on with her in her health. Sometimes things are private. So we don't get to complain. And the best thing is, regardless if it's 2026, 2032, or 2040, I'll tell you what. Her retiring in 2026 is the better case scenario, because this isn't going to hurt Republicans' chances of carrying the Senate. They keep the Senate. They're going to win the Senate. We care about having a majority, a very big majority. And although Susan Collins retiring would affect that, it would save us, it would give us some leverage in future races, because we don't know. Senate could be very competitive in 2032. The next time this class seat, this class 1 set of seats will be held, and that is 2032. When, of course, no, this is class 2, but 2032 is the next time, and that would give us some leverage. Like, okay, Susan Collins is not running, but because she's retired, so we don't need to worry about Maine. But we got to prepare to lose Maine. We absolutely have to prepare to lose Maine. We cannot continue to be so hyperbolic on this. But hey, I mean, I'm all for Republicans retaliating. GOP, still, like, why? If Democrats got Sherrod Brown on board, they got Roy Cooper on board, who's next? John Tester in Montana? Or Mary Peltola in Alaska? Republicans, wake up! Tell John Sununu to run! Tell Chris Sununu or Chris Sununu, get him and tell him to run, or his presidential ambitions are over. Tell, I'm blanking. Brian Kemp to run, or your presidential ambitions are over. You're not winning. You're not running for president, coward. And then go and tell Glenn Youngkin of Virginia, make it competitive. I'm not saying go win it, but make it competitive, because, hey, if you try to put Virginia, make it competitive, that means Democrats will have to also put money into a state. So that prevents them from putting main money into Michigan, Georgia, and North Carolina, the three big battleground states. So, hey, Glenn Youngkin, you want to run for president? You're not running if you don't run for Senate first. We can talk about the presidency later. But anyway, what do you guys think in regards to the news that we got today? Let me know down below. And as always, I'll see you all in the next political episode.